And we're back. This is going to be part 2. This is obviously taking a lot of time due to the entries, so I'm just doing 2 basic kind of 45-minute sessions. So that'd be a little easier for everybody to take and a little easier for my computer to handle. Okay.
Yeah, we got Benjamin Wiseman. It looks like Wiseman.
Yeah, Benjamin, have you entered this before? Because I don't know, something when you submit an image like this to the chat, it's really it stands out due to the professionalism here.
Yeah, and we both commented it's got a very Blizzard / Hearthstone type of feel to it, which is thoroughly enjoyable. So
Is
thank you.
all your work
Absolutely
this
beautiful.
consistent? Because this is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I hope you're getting a lot of professional gigs.
Yeah, absolutely. This is right up there. As far as your quality is concerned, the design's fantastic, the story's fantastic.
Colors are fun.
Colors are beautiful. Nice and fun, but well controlled. Nice sense of depth. Beautiful sense of composition and movement. The story's great. Yeah, I mean, what's not to love about this? I would say, put a little bit of attention at this point in the game, especially with your stylized approach. You've got a very kind of traditional cartoon stylized feel to it, which is what gives it the Blizzard feel. A little bit of work on your anatomy, particularly study the anatomy of the arms a little bit. That might help for sure. Yeah, what do you have to add to that? He's good.
It is good. So anything we do say, it's certainly nitpicking.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm in a position to nitpick. Yeah, there's like a lack of form, like in this area on this guy. I mean, and it's only as obvious as it is because of how bright you got a highlight here. Mm-hmm. But like it just looks a little flat in terms of the form, which you could go back with an overlay layer and a couple selections and kind of course correct that pretty easily.
Yeah. I would also a little bit of clarity, like that forest creature that's holding the flower, the death flower thing. It's hard to. I mean, I figured out his face, but I had to figure it out. It didn't jump at me. Maybe the point of the eyes glow a little bit more. A little bit of ambient occlusion in the mouth to help that opening, the aperture of the mouth, a little bit clearer.
If it's one thing, I do know it is like design on things. So unless there's a very specific brief that would call for this, what I ultimately find distracting is the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4. All very even beats, all the same size, going perfectly straight across the composition. Mm-hmm. Again, if ideally you'd want to de-emphasize some of that and certainly arrange the components so they're not so perfectly evenly kind of spaced and flatlining this area of the composition. Mm-hmm. So keep that in mind. Really, really great stuff though. Like you're a rendering fiend.
Yeah. Alright, what do we got? AC Mason. All right, very different feel. Look at the totally different approach to colors, but beautiful though.
Yeah, I love this.
Really enjoying this. Yeah, same level of boldness too. Yeah, there's so much to take in here. I mean, you should definitely consider book illustration. Like, I mean, look at this
illustration. This is great.
Yeah. Beautiful use of lighting. I love especially that frog, the lizard in the background is fabulous. Mm-hmm. The lighting on your main character, especially his face, you kind of gave him this yellowish orange skin tone, which doesn't feel quite natural. And
knock him back.
It's a bit flat.
He's a little too bright in there and everything.
Yeah.
You could easily just take him and...
Like the colors on the hand are a lot better. I like those tones you have in his hand holding the book.
Yeah, I would just kind of tone some of that down. Then you could like further emphasize some of that glow on some of his extremities, facial feature wise. But and then
it's not clear what's going on with his robe. It almost looks like he's got 2 legs bent over to the left a little bit.
Yeah, like if we were to really break apart that, you have. Just due to the nature that you have, like, this shape's kind of going like this, with this shape, like, we can tell what's happening, but we're almost working too much for that.
It's a bit confusing, yeah.
Simplify.
I would just simplify that.
Just simplify. Yeah, and then maybe go back and add a few details or minor highlights and maybe, like, a few various places. Like, you could see, like, maybe a little more into these areas, like, a little kind of highlight on the leaf. There's like little slight and I mean slight inconsistencies throughout it. Like you just see like more of detail here, for instance. But in that regard, again, I was nitpicking because I think a lot of this is fantastic, and I really enjoy looking at. The other weird part for me is that just the crop of it, like it seems like it should be like this wide of a picture. Like we're losing just too much too quickly on that side.
Yeah. If you're restricted, let's say you're working professionally, and these were you were restricted to those dimensions,
then you have to make it work. You have to shrink everything.
Yeah, shrink it or bring the book in. So we're not cutting the book off because the book is an important. He's a caster, right? So he's got his spell and he's casting.
See how much more comfortable that would sit.
There you go. See, that makes all the difference.
Do a canvas extension and then fill in all your blanks. Let's see. Yeah. Let's just. I'm not going to even do the auto. It might break Photoshop right now. It's not so bad now. We've got half of the images ago. There you go. Yeah, but definitely. Antoine D.I. Who was on the last community feature. I interviewed him.
Yeah. Look at this. Very different approach, dude. Antoine's been
this feels a lot different than your other stuff.
Color-wise, yeah. You're going with a soft
a lot more delicate sensibilities to your color choices on this. I love the rust.
Yeah.
I'd push it further though. Like if you have like some rust in there, make that really look like a bit rusty. The best way to do that is like a very gingerly type of color burn type of color. With any kind of darker, warmer color you get in there with like let's just say any kind of texture brush even, and just I'm gonna lightly touch it. It's at 13%, but you can actually get some more like these colors kind of happening in there that you see a little bit better with the rust. Oh, you know what? Yeah. It's not working because I made a new layer. If I actually do it like this, you'll see it kind of have that better that effect I was kind of going for. So you're like, and it'll read a lot better at this level.
Yeah. And also those foreground fairies you've got, I would darken them a little bit. You can have them glow, but make sure the contour of it is dark so that you can really feel foreground background. Because that's kind of flattening the image. Those values are competing a little bit.
Yeah, dude, you have great storytelling. Great composition. I know for you personally, you can go back and tighten up a lot of this looser, kind of rougher type of image. Like because that looks like a color sketch, and I know you can put the effort in and the time and make that all look cohesive for you.
Yeah. It does. It's not going to require. I mean, we already know how you paint, so we're not going to overkill it here. But little things, really little things at this point, because overall, I like the bravery you're taking with this new approach. I like that a lot.
Really cool.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, Lewis.
Back here. Louis.
Oh, yeah, another regular.
Yes. Now we both looked at this at first, and the first impression we had was, "What is that?"
Yeah.
And I think it's because it wasn't clear that was probably a tree.
If this is tree, it's still way too overexposed, and we're not seeing those forms.
Yeah.
That's why we didn't. I didn't know if that was a crack in like the gorge in the background. But yes, if this is a tree and it's going to have your 3 dimensions, you want to make sure we know that, and you want to paint all those forms up.
Yeah.
Because and also too, if you tone the color down on something like this, then you could scaling it back essentially. Then you can go back and have it emit a little bit of that glow, to it.
Yeah, you're kind of bottlenecking. You've got it so bright right out of the gate.
There's no room
that
for
you're not leaving your space for glowing, right? So now if you add any kind of luminosity to it, it'll just flatten it to a white. So you want to avoid that.
This isn't how I'd add form to it, but just to illustrate the point on the glow. So if we kind of you have a more a darker midtone, then you can come back after the fact and then really get in there with how deep and how rich you want some of these elements to really look like they're standing out and glowing basically. And you can get as subtle with it as you want. You can make it as obvious as you want, but it needs that room to be able to stretch in that direction. and in that regard, I think you need to do something more to tie these two elements together: the character and the tree. I can see there's a tree, and I can see the character, but there's nothing else supplementing any of this in the scene that's telling me the story of one or two of these elements.
Yeah. And have some of the light from the tree shine off the front of the character to show that connection visually too. Have a little bit of rim light hitting off the front of the character.
So work on their interaction as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. All right. What do we got next?
Just kind of working my way to the bottom.
High Lord of the Gardens submission. Do we have a name?
No, I didn't see it. I assumed it might be there, but it's really low res, so it's...
Yeah. Which is a darn shame because there's a lot of work put in this. Yeah, yeah. We can't scale it because we'll get everything's going to be blurry. So
everything's going to be like it's. You think it's blurry now, and then we go up, it's going to be even more blurry.
It's very
I see that same comment somebody makes like all the time. It's like make it bigger, make it bigger. It's like we don't have the resolution to do that.
Yeah. Right. Now notice. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well. I think right off the bat, since we're dealing with a forest scene and that much that we can see that far off into the distance, I would definitely cool off, add a little bit more of an ambient blue to everything beyond that cliff where the character's standing in the red tree.
Like in all your references, that they have that nice, like this is what your background needs is this. Mm-hmm. You have it all here, and not one. One you could let it slide, but like in 5 references, and it's not in yours. Missed opportunity. I'd classify that as.
Yeah.
Like make it all sing. Bring it in. I don't know how to even do that. Maybe like a pin light or an overlay. Like there's the ways you can quickly, obviously like this if I'm shortcutting it, but go back, spend some time, give things like that really nice type of glow.
Try screen. See if that works. Here we go. Yeah.
And then it's part of it, but you apply that same delicacy to like. Throughout the whole image. Like it's nothing that this is gonna quickly solve. Like this is a real shorthand type of way to just illustrate that to you. But see like how deep and saturated, and then how we see just the silhouettes of the trees, and then you can really get into some of that. And like how you play that up. Sorry, my dog's barking. And then at the same time too, if we're looking at the design of the image and the comp itself, there's some more missed opportunities because we have the character here, right? And I'm just gonna color this purple, right? We have that, but there's not much in the composition leading us to it, and we're not celebrating it, and it does fall flat in that narrative sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of space just put emphasis.
This is all dead space
with the character in it, right? We're not really getting that story, so to speak.
The idea, what you want to, and I may suggest, once you figure out what your focal point is, where it's going to be, design the entire composition around celebrating that one element. But, really cool. I like where you're off to in terms of that.
Yeah. And the work is there, The quality, the work, the rendering is all professional quality. It looks really nice. All right.
No name.
No name. Okay. Compositionally, very interesting. I like it. It's a very clear read composition, character reading with the flower. There's a lot to be appreciated. I think the one thing that I'll comment on right away is it's quite monochromatic, which is okay, but you've got so much red and contrast.
It's overpowering.
I almost can't even see. The character's almost camouflaged in this scene. So it's something to definitely be careful with. You don't have any control of these values. It's white, gray, black, red all over the place. So try to group those, organize them a little bit better, right?
Structure and simplify.
Yeah.
So if you have something like this far back in the space, right? This and this, you got to start picking. Turn off that one side of your brain that tries to make sense of everything, and just look at it in a more abstract sense, so that you can either make these darker, which would work, and to keep it, or just make them lighter, obscuring those details, and then then you could take maybe all these elements.
Look at how everything reads nicely as soon as he because now those trees are not white with gray in the middle. Now it's just one solid.
Yeah, what you need is structure.
Yeah.
And simplification. if those kind of go hand in hand. And then, you need to okay, we're going to knock all that down, into shadow. We don't want to see as much contrast. I mean, this is just ruining, well, it's not helping with the colors, but, we're removing the contrast in your scene because there's nothing bringing us to this character. And that's what you want to make very obvious, that this is what we want to look at first.
Yeah. You've got to exaggerate in a painting. In real life, you might be able to get away with it because the character is moving. There's movement which attracts it. In a still image, you have to put more emphasis on that. You have to exaggerate those contrasts so that you don't lose them. Because in this case, and you also, like in the Chris Oatley video, the texture monster, too much texture, pulls your eye everywhere. You want the texture to be pushed into an area where you're focused.
Again,
right?
Watch that bit about Anton's piece again, because he did it really, really well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very good example.
What you struggled with specifically on this.
Yeah. All right. And don't forget to name your work too, so we know who did it.
Yeah. All right, Patricia. I remember we were in the Hangout a few Mondays ago, and you were working on this, and I could see it a lot bigger then. This is at 100% that it was submitted to me. So if I really try to go in here and figure this out, it's going to be a little difficult.
There's a little bit of detail.
Which sucks because I know how much hard work you put into this.
I mean, this is a damn
These
nice...
are gorgeous. All of these.
Yeah. Oh, God. I want to see this in color so bad. And this is a very good example. Ladies and gentlemen, anybody who's watching this, the importance of good drawing skills. How the sketch, the line drawing, just the sketch itself, how that resonates into a very immersive image that's very enjoyable, right? It's worth investing the time into working on your drawing skills. It helps you flesh together a scene very quickly. And you combine that with a good sense of value, and you get something like this. So let this serve as a good example.
Yeah, I hope you do, take this to full color someday and share it with the group and I happen to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's certainly a lot to like here, and I bet this is absolutely glorious in high res.
Yeah, I'm glad you vignetted it. You vignetted it a little bit too, because otherwise it's like
really
a Mad Max detail. It's just so
looks like a very nice production painting.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. It's too. Oh, yeah. I would mention one thing. Be careful with your ambient occlusion, especially around that character. We have all these dark values in the foreground. All those deep shadows around the girl might add a little bit more contrast, but it doesn't feel believable. It's a little bit too heavy.
For right there.
And make sure, what I would do personally is have a little bit, it's white character against a white archway.
We're losing the shape of her.
Yeah, you want to bring that silhouette. I would maybe darken her skirt or darken her dress a little bit so that it brings out that silhouette of her curves.
Yeah, her dress... Yeah. Her skin and the backdrop behind her were all essentially the same value. Work that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We need something with some color, and this one was popping.
Yeah. All right.
And Patrick's back.
Nice control of your colors, and look at the nice balance of warm and cool in here too. Those little touches of warm in those tomato type things really make a nice difference. Beautiful natural colors here. I love that. Lighting. I would be careful not to rim light everything, right? It's not just a rim light. These are volumes, three-dimensional volumes. Make sure that the light is traveling over a rounded form. It's not just catching an edge, right? So that's something to be careful with there for sure. Like the lighting hitting the front is good. The lighting hitting the back is a little bit, it's flattening it quite a bit.
Yeah, it takes away from the effect when it's just everywhere. It's like having too much of the same color or too much saturation of a certain color. It's overstimulating of that one technique or tool that we have in our artist toolbox to highlight and celebrate certain elements and aspects.
I'm really liking the character though.
Yeah.
You really nailed the character. I look at a piece like this and I think trading cards. You get a card. The card is High Lord of the Gardens. When you look at the piece, there's your character up in your face. That's what people read the card. They look at the image.
It looks like a cross between Treebeard and Swamp Thing.
Yeah, good point.
It's awesome.
Well said.
Yeah, I like the design. The background is just about hitting that line for me where it's just a little too abstract-y, but...
Also, be careful with those tree branches, especially the ones on his head. The ones on the body are nice because they have a nice organic flow to it. But remember, when trees grow, they're growing towards the sun. So there's a twist and turny feel. It's not going to go, right? It's not Cubert trees. These should be like, get that nice organic feel. Reference it if you need to, right? Yeah. That's all I honestly, I don't have anything else to contribute to that.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. Really, really nice. Patrick Bjorkstrom. All right, well done. What do we got?
Let's do this guy.
Isaac.
Yeah, Isaac, how you doing?
Yeah, we noticed we stopped on this one too. Maybe a little bit of. This is borderline. I think that blur, whatever Gaussian.
That's been the other killer this month.
Gaussian blur, because that. For the beautiful painting we've got in front of us right here, that blur cheapens it. It's a cheap trick. Don't do it, okay? Because you've got so much quality going on.
Overdone, especially like when we lose that focus on that like, look how much a hard edge, just a nice, good, firm edge does for this guy. Like, why is it that blurry? I hate when it's just that easy of a fix that makes it so much stronger.
Yeah.
And then having some clarity, in the background would certainly do wonders for this.
Right.
Because this is so nicely done.
A little trick too, when you have, just as far as making your eyes look like they're focusing on something. If something's about a foot away, notice how my eyes go almost crossed a little bit. They're both, remember, two balls pointing towards a point. So the fact that both of his eyes are looking like this makes him look like he's looking outside the window. See how this doesn't look focused? Where this does. It's because right now my eyes are converging. So a little something, because that's a bit distracting too.
That's a good tip, Adam. Pro tip from Adam.
Pro tips. I have to describe everything because I don't have control of the pen. Tyler owns the pen today.
Nice though. Like, see, then you have like you did here and back here, you have a little bit of that space within your shape now to bring in some of that light and texture hitting his coat.
Mm-hmm. And he's got that real ragged Radagast type of feel to it. I don't know if you actually. It really, I love that. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. If I haven't said that enough times.
This is Radagast's third cousin.
Yeah, Radagast. Totally not a ripoff. Yeah. I love the gray tattered clothing. Yeah, there's a lot to enjoy in this piece.
I like this overall.
Look at how those hard edges are really bringing it all together.
Edge control.
Yeah. Like the one hair
right here, I'm fine
in the
with.
back. That's fine. Yeah,
it's fine. There's once you can see it, it's like one of those things you can't unsee, but you can really get a strong sense to feel something like that out.
Yeah.
But beautiful.
And overexposed lighting over on the right side. Again, watch out with that. Right? You don't have that white bloom over on the right side. What do we got here?
The variety that we get with the theme, like High Lord of the Gods.
Incredible, eh? By Karen Knight. There's a
Karen's in the
Hollywood name right there.
Hangout working on this as well.
Yeah.
I almost like the structure that you have in this one a little bit better. We could see some of that light seep down in the forest back there. Like, this is lovely.
Yeah.
So there was something a little lost, and the first thing I can tell you is that the overkill of this brush.
Yeah.
It's too obvious.
The texture monster, yeah.
Like, this is a lot softer with the paintbrushes and the way you handle the detail.
Yeah. You remember, you want detail, you want that texture to be on your focal point and immediately surrounding it, but you don't want to be texture is an eye grab, right? So you don't want to pull the eye away from what's happening. The other thing is just be careful with your composition, your little character on the bottom right. You don't want your character to be cropped off at the feet. Bring it in. Leave a little bit of real estate under the feet so that there's some negative space so the character's nestled, right? Because that kind of pulls the character off the page a little bit.
And like even the colors on this one are a little bit better. They feel a little more pushed and emphasized, where things got really brown and green, like in one kind of like a duotone, with like very little emphasis on that lighting that we can see like in this image and this image.
And that blue clashes. That blue's clashing a lot too of the on the character up at the top.
Yeah.
Right. So get a little bounce light in there. Make that blue. Let the greens of the surrounding area influence that blue a little bit.
Yeah, that's what this really needs is a little bit of simplification of the texture and a little bit more delicate approach to the lighting itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
But great job.
Yeah, and amazing
Great
visual
idea.
storytelling. I love that. Okay, what do we got? We're looking at
Plot twist. We're going for the one on the bottom
James
right.
Nichols. Welcome back, James Nichols. Yes. Ooh, I like. Okay, we're looking at the one on the left. There we go.
Nice.
All right.
I like how he just has a mouse and he's like
I
going to
love
feed
that
that
reference
plant.
you have over on the right. I love that reference. Notice something. Notice how if you deconstruct, if you were to simplify that composition on the right of the kind of fat fairy creature looking at the little girl, a white form against a dark background, a girl against a white tree, and notice how that tree on the right ties in with the bushes just below it. We can break it into 1, 2, 3. 3 solid forms. Where on yours, you have light against dark and dark against dark and light against with the white trimming. Now, lighten up that coat. Have that be a one continuous lit form so that it's a lit character against a dark background.
Oh, you're saying like make him a little more, push that a little further then.
Yeah.
Would be the best. And then like have like that shadow or something underneath, where his head would be, or, etc.
Yeah. There's a lot of too much white, dark, which is creating a bit of a difficult read. And bring some of that volume into the form. It's a very flat, very two-dimensional. The body has no shape to it, right? It's just a flat, cardboardy type of looking thing.
Yeah, I didn't know how intentional something like you can get away with that here. Like if he's supposed to be like this monk type of guy where he is just naturally flat and stiff, but like he has this kind of robotic stance to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how intentional something like that is here. Because he can illuminate some more of him with that bounce light hitting.
James actually posed himself down there, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's a picture of James. Okay. In that particular shot, pay attention to the relaxed nature, the slight tilt to the head, the tilt to the shoulders.
Subtleties.
I would reference the whole body. I would get your camera out and do the whole pose that you're planning on using for your picture, because all you referenced was just the hand and face, right? So get the whole body in there so you can get the tilt and the weight distribution of the body, the lighting on the hand, all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah, definitely.
Bounce light up here. It's just getting more saturated, which is wrong.
I'm interested to know who the artist is who did that painting over on the right.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's very simple, very nice, simple.
And
forms.
yeah, like once you get things at a level like this and you can see they're working, don't be afraid to zoom in then and really put the polish on the money shots.
Yeah.
It's parts of this are still like probably like way too rough. But
Yeah,
we
you
can
feel
clearly...
like a deep shadow of the eye cavity, but we don't see a deep shadow like that anywhere else except for under the chin. We would expect to see deep shadows under the clothes. Again, a little bit more consistency overall in that respect. Yeah, that deep shadow is a bit overcharged.
And
Right.
I don't know, I just wanted to mention it. Like, I could see that you used a photo here, but for some reason it's not really bothering me that much in this one. I just want to throw it out since I did manage. I mentioned every time before when it did.
Yeah.
It's not distracting me as much here.
Yeah. What do we got? This is interesting. What do we got here? Oh, okay. This is, any name? I don't see.
I didn't see it.
Okay. Very interesting character development here. Very interesting.
Yeah, it's nice. A huge sense of scale. I don't know what this whole thing is here.
Yeah.
That too many questions, and a lot of these forms are a little too flat, soft, and basically a little muddy.
Mm-hmm.
Like we want to see some actual forms in here. So if that's like the side of a cliff, then you can actually start to sketch out, that these are cliff sides and they're in there, or are they not cliff sides, and then you can kind of work that a little bit.
Yeah.
Too much. Oh, maybe like too much airbrush glazing in that. Not enough. Of those solid forms.
Yeah, notice how that dark shadow also helps the arm pop a little bit. And because you see the shadow on the arm and the shadow behind the arm, like the valley behind the arm, flattens that arm, and that arm is the most important focal point because he's actually pulling the boats out of the water.
Yep.
So you want to be able to get the contrast there to draw the eyes to the most important storytelling piece, right? Where we're more likely to look up at the top of them because there's more contrast up there. There's more clarity.
I like your story here. I like your character. I like the design. Yeah. I like what's happening. I like that moment, and it works.
Yeah. Yeah, but I really like that, yeah.
At the same time, I also feel it may be better if we were in the perspective of the people in the boats, and we're looking up, and we're like, shit, what do we get ourselves into?
Yeah.
But there's always that what if. But just so you're aware.
You could definitely, for your particular, type of imagination and design, as far as composition is concerned, I would look up Dark Souls, screen caps of Dark Souls 1, 2, or 3, to give you an idea of how they approach incredible size, right? How you can play with camera angles and stuff because it's got that feel to it. Jessica.
This is very bird-like.
Jessica Levy.
But there is a garden in it.
Yeah, okay. Narrative-wise, I don't see, the Lord of the Forest, the Lord of... not seeing that so much. Or maybe the girl is, I don't know. It's got a very kind of First Nations type of story feel to it, which I absolutely love.
He loves it.
I really do. Honestly, I have a lot of love for that particular type of storytelling and painting style, I might add. Right? And there's more. Okay, there's more birds off in the background. A little bit too complementary. You kind of like bichromatic, orange, blue. Period. You didn't go anywhere beyond that. It could use a little bit of work as far as just adding more color and richness.
Like imagine if there was subtleties with the yellows and the oranges down in the leaves, and then maybe a slight fluctuation with the blues and the like the cyans in the background. Yeah. And I think going a little bit like you did the manual version, you painted it by hand of that blur effect in the background. But I'd like to see the more subtle suggestion of the giant branches and the trees and stuff. A little bit more, I think, would help this a lot.
Yeah.
But, you did a great job. You worked your ass off on this, and it shows. Lots of detail and really consistent. And, it's great. It reads.
If I would go on to mention when you put this much work and love into the value painting and you hit it up with flat, unworked colors, just don't even bother coloring it, because what it does is it just takes. I would have submitted this in black and white personally because the color itself flattened a lot.
Her colors are always just stylistically, she's more on the reserve side with them. Yeah. Which just if you didn't know, I thought it was worth noting.
Yeah, no, but keep that overall color decision, but then add in little bits of reds and greens. Work within that frame. That's fine, but just don't keep it as two colors because that's not enough. It just flattens the image for sure. Look at this.
Tapio.
Yeah, very much Mr. or Mrs. Fantasy Artist. Who's the artist here?
It said Tapio, I believe.
Tapio. Okay. Yeah.
This is again about the same kind of core issue with the colors.
Mm-hmm.
Like what you can get away with some of that when you're doing like key art for movie frames and stuff, like because they color grade everything up the ass anyway these days. But it as an illustration, it definitely flattens matters out.
Yeah.
And the sky needs more attention as well, since it's such a prominent part of this image.
Yeah. Like the only thing that's got any unique color to it is this robe that has one color to it.
Yeah.
You can keep that overall scheme. I think that could work great. I've seen a lot of like Magic the Gathering art that takes that same start, right? But then when you look, you can see little colors of yellow and a bit of flesh tones. And
like you use yellows and ochres to do the shadows. If you're on a nice dark purple like that, if I were to get into do some of the shadows personally, I would definitely kind of move this over like this, and I'd start bringing that slider down into here. So when I'm doing these neutrals and these color shifts, I'm going to get this huge, vast variety of these. Well, it's basically how you get really brilliant neutrals and shadows, into your scene, and that's coloring them with the complement. And then when you have your highlight, you can get in there and kind of push some more of those sky colors, into that as well.
Yeah.
and basically get little hints of like that secondary kind of color happening as I nudge it a little bit closer toward that sky color. And that's the difference between getting something that's like, this is a great base purple, fill out the shadows, fill out the highlights, on top of that base, and that's when you'll get something truly deep and rich with colors.
And also, if you're going to have any human features, anatomy, take pictures of your hands. Like the hand there was clearly done from your head. Don't try to do. Hands are so incredibly complex. Take a picture, draw from reference. That's all you got to do. And once people spot that, they go, oh, okay, this artist is a bit of a beginner, and it's not. You can produce some very powerful stuff just referencing.
See, just looking at that one bit there, or I did the shadow, like it, and then it if he had like these subtly warm yellow ochre tones and all these shadows, that would go from like this black to this really subtle transition.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it does have a reference down there. Okay, well, you cut the reference off in an awkward way or whatever. I would look more closely at that reference personally. Yeah.
But really cool. Conceptually, it's really cool.
Yeah, and a good fit, like for somebody like in my particular field, and even Tyler's as well. Just doing this type of trading card fantasy art, you're right in there. Like that's the right headspace for that kind of work. So for that kind of illustration, so you're going in a good direction with this for sure. Keep it going. Yeah. Is that it? Did we make it through the whole stack? Holy moly!
Hey everybody, we're back. We like, this one here. This is certainly our favorites.
Yeah. We had very little to critique on that piece. It's really enjoyable, beautiful work of art, definitely. And we have
great job, Benjamin.
We have two very close runners up here, and those were we got Shin and we got Alex, and both absolutely exquisite pieces of artwork as well. So really, really well done, beautifully well done. Very beautiful.
They tell stories. The narrative's there. They're consistent, and those are kind of like the merits across the board. And like this is in the jungle. He's some kind of high lord. Like we could see that the theme is not. It's maybe it's a little more obvious in some of these. Maybe a little more subtle in this one. But he's protecting the garden and stuff. So it really kind of ties in what you're trying to go after with this. So thank you for entering, everybody. These are amazing. It's such a high turnout.
It's so much fun, man. We really had fun looking at all these submissions. So, beautiful stuff.
Hello, everyone. For the next challenge, we actually have a sponsor by one of our own community members, Rodney.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Let them know what the deal's going to be.
Okay, so here's the deal. For this month's art challenge, we've given you 3 different prompts that you can choose from. Those will be in the descriptions in the details section. Yep, and each prompt is for a different card for a game I am working on. All the links for extra information will be on a Dropbox link.
Right here at the bottom. You click on that.
Yep, and that'll be at the bottom of your description.
It'll take you here.
You will choose from one of those 3 cards and follow the prompt for that card and create a piece of art that will fit on that card. Details will be found there. The winners will be not only judged, I guess, as far as the same community standards as we get judged, but I will also be giving away a $40 gift card to Amazon for each winner that we choose to be on the card, as well as you will be in my game. So make sure you put your name in your art as well so we can give you credit for that. If you choose not to be in the game and you just want to submit art and not necessarily be in the game, make sure you make note of that as well in this contest, because submitting says you're in unless you say otherwise.
Yes, so have your name and your email typed out on your submission so it's legible, which is something we haven't made a firm kind of thing in the past. So again, pick which faction you basically want to do. You read your flavor text. At the very bottom of each description, it will say, for example, I want to do the Durgan people here of the Holy Altar, for this card title. So that means see style guides is page 3 and 4. So you click the Dropbox links, you go there, you say, okay, pages 3 and 4, this is you, and then this will give you the style guide that you want to try to follow for your submission. And this is all very kind of standard routine and practices for anybody that's kind of done any kind of professional board or card game art. But yeah, that's the challenge this month. So you guys get to pick which one you want and kind of go for it.
And the things are, keep in mind as far as the cards go, you just need to somewhat follow those prompts. I've made notes of things that are important, but otherwise you pretty much have free range. You just need to make sure they fit kind of within that same visual. Like the Dargin people have a symbol. You need to make sure you use that symbol and use those notes. But feel free to be very creative. If you choose the elf card, there's a lot less restrictions on that, so keep that in mind. And remember, the prize will be a $40 gift card to Amazon, and that'll be for the ones I choose to put on cards. And have fun.
Have fun. All right, Adam and I will critique it, standard affair, but then Rodney will be there. He'll choose what he wants to be in his game. So basically nothing else has really changed at all. So good luck, everybody. Stop recording.